Toyota and Honda are getting fed up with American politicians. Today we're going to find out why. Over at Automotive News, Toyota Honda oppose U.S. House electric vehicle tax plan. I tend to never mention politics on the channel for obvious reasons. It just divides us. Speaking of dividing, I have divided my face from my beard. So hopefully you guys don't have a heart attack. This is actually what I look like underneath my scruffy mane. Anyways, we got a lot to talk about. We're not only going to talk about this U.S. Electric vehicle tax plan or proposal, but we're also going to talk about lots of different things in the automotive industry when it pertains to Japanese cars today. A little bit of Volvo at the end, so make sure to stick around if you're interested in Volvo. Toyota and Honda sharply criticized proposal by Democrats in the U.S. House of Representatives to give union-made electric vehicles in the United States an additional $4,500 tax incentive. The only union-made vehicles that I'm aware of here in the United States are made by the big three. So that'd be Ford, Chevy, and Dodge. General Motors is all about this coming to fruition here after they just recalled all of their bolts, and it's going to cost them hundreds of millions of dollars. But they want an extra incentive to sell their vehicles because they're more American. Let's keep reading. Toyota is claiming this discriminates against American auto workers based on their choice not to unionize. Honda is calling the bill unfair, and it says it discriminates among EVs made by hardworking American automakers based simply on whether they belong to a union. The Honda Production Associates in Alabama, Indiana, Ohio, who will build their EVs in the future, deserve fair and equal treatment by Congress. So Honda's kind of interesting right now because Acura's first EV will actually be built by unionized workers alongside the Cadillac Lyriq, but that's just a placeholder because they're saying all future EVs in America will be built by Honda employees, not General Motors employees, not by Gundam employees, but by Honda employees at Alabama, Indiana, and Ohio. So that's the first time we've heard of any sort of EV plans for Honda in the United States outside of General Motors and Cadillac for their very first EVs. So yeah, if rest assured, Honda fans out there, you will have Honda built EVs in the future. $12,500 maximum tax credit. I mean, if EVs were better in every single way, which they're better in a lot of ways, but not every way right here, right now, they wouldn't need $12,500 to move them. So let's talk about this real quick. This proposal will cost $33 billion to $34 billion over 10 years. So that's coming out of the pockets of you, me, and everyone else here in America. If you're global, well, lucky you. You unfortunately probably pay higher taxes than we do here. $12,500 to the maximum tax credit for electrified vehicles, up from the current $7,500. The $12,500 figure includes a $500 credit for using US produced batteries. That I don't feel so strongly against, US produced batteries. I mean, still, all these vehicles, though, are essentially parted from all sorts of the world. So is that really helping Americans? Well, maybe slightly, especially when places like SK Innovations and LG Chem and other battery factories are setting up shop here in America. So I'm not against that credit. It's small, but it's just a nice little, I guess, a nice little rebate, if you want to think of it that way, for being a little bit more patriotic. But the fact that you could potentially be getting $4,500 for, in my opinion, an inferiorly made vehicle because it's more American and it has a Chevy badge on it just doesn't sit right with me. And interestingly, this bill does away with phasing out automakers' tax credits after they hit 200,000 vehicles sold, which would make General Motors and Tesla eligible again for tax credits. It would also create a smaller credit for used electric vehicles of up to $2,500. So the UAW, the United Auto Workers Union, must be shelling out tons of money to the politicians, the Democratic politicians, to push this unfair tax credit for EVs that I would never buy. I would never buy a Ford, Chevy, or Dodge EV. I don't have a lot of faith in their build quality and build standards for the most part. There are exceptions in there. And I would much rather buy an EV built by a Japanese or Korean manufacturer. Even though they're not perfect, I just would like to have the choice and have the equal benefit of buying an EV. And I don't really agree with the tax credits for any EV, but that's just the way it is. I just don't want additional credits being apportioned to more American vehicles. Let's be real. We know Honda and Toyota employ tons of Americans here in the United States, tons of vehicles being built here, while General Motors, Ford, Chevy, Dodge produce a ton of vehicles in Mexico and outside of the United States as well. So there's no one company's more American than the other here. It's just all about the union wanting to preserve their power and their money. So what do you guys think about that? Tesla is not unionized. They would be eligible up to 8,000 credits under this new bill. And this bill limits EV credit to cars priced at no more than $55,000, while trucks would be priced up to $74,000. So it's not benefiting the rich here, which the EV tax credit currently pretty much does. So I guess that's a good thing, but I still don't really believe that a tax credit should be on electric vehicles. In a statement Sunday, the American International Automobile Dealers Association said the union-focused provision is more than insulting to the 673,000 Americans employed by the international nameplate dealerships and manufacturers. They said it's a slap in the face for all American workers who don't align with the democratic worldview that every workplace should be unionized and that American tax dollars should contribute to that goal, said Cody Lusk. International nameplate dealers and manufacturers will continue to refine EV technology and promote its acceptance in the United States. In the meantime, we only ask that the House Ways and Means Committee stop playing politics with car sales. Well, I don't think that's ever going to stop happening. There's so much money in cars, of course, politics are going to have their hands all over them from now until the end of time. And then James Chen, Rivian's Vice President of Public Policy and Chief Regulatory Counsel, says Americans should not need an accounting degree to determine if they qualify for a tax credit. Rivian supports a straightforward expansion without artificial limits to encourage EV adoption to as many households as possible. So Rivian's not going to be unionized, just like Tesla, but since their vehicles are going to be pretty expensive, they want these tax credits to affect their vehicles that are going to cost under $55,000 or $75,000. I know they're trucks, but they might eventually come out some cars. So that is, they want tax credits to be more widely available and less specific, like the Democrats and the unions are trying to force down our throats here. And lastly, Toyota says it will fight to focus taxpayer dollars on making all electrified vehicles accessible for American consumers who can't afford high-priced cars and trucks. So what do you guys think about this unfair tax credit bill? Do you think it's unfair? I would love to see both sides of the equation down below. I think it seems a little unfair, but everyone's biased to some degree, so I'll end it there. I don't want to get too down the political slippery slide where we all are in danger, where I can get myself into trouble. All right, guys, let's keep moving. There's a new Integra already in China, and it's just like a Civic with an Integra and in like Lexus RC taillights that are flipped upside down. So yeah, it's nothing special. They're just calling it the Integra over there. So don't worry, guys. Our accurate Integra will be completely different than what you see right here. And here's another image of the Integra, and it's just a remolded Honda Civic. So don't worry, guys. Don't worry. This is not the Integra we'll be getting. The Subaru Levorg, which is a beautiful estate. I think that's what you guys call it overseas. We call it a wagon. Subaru doesn't really have any traditional wagons here anymore unless you want like the Outback that's kind of lifted, like a lifted wagon. But the Levorg is coming out with a 2.4 liter turbo, the exact same that's in the new WRX that we're getting. But the Levorg is way cooler. It's way more practical. It's a wagon. And yeah, I just wanted to kind of leave you guys salivating because we don't get the Levorg here in the United States. It would be amazing, but unfortunately we do not. And yeah, they're going to put the 2.4 turbo with the 271 horsepower, whatever it is, from the new WRX into it and essentially have a wagon WRX. Anyways, I just felt like sharing that. I don't want to talk about it too much because I would rather have the Lavorg turbo than the controversial new WRX that just came out. We have some other cool things here about the Toyota Crown. We don't get the Crown here in the United States. So this is what it looks like. It looks a little bit BZ4X. I'm getting the lines of the BZ4X on the front and the sides. Very slim headlights here. It looks like a triple beam or quad beam headlight. But you see the Crown logo in the front. You have this hexagonal grille, which is not that much different than a Subaru grille. But the rumors of a Crown SUV are kind of fading back into the back burner, if that makes sense. And then this new generation Crown gets more information on it. It's getting away from the TNGA-N platform, which is the same thing as like the Mirai, or very similar to the TNGA-L platform, like the LS and the LC. And it's going to the TNGA-K platform, which is essentially a Camry. They're going to put a 2.4 liter turbo, the same as the NX in it, and they're going to electrify it. And I have been thinking about this sort of powertrain for a while, especially in the trucks, because it makes a lot of sense in the trucks, but it looks like the new Crown is going to be getting it. Of course, they'll have other powertrain options, but this would be the top of the line. I believe they have currently in the Crown the 2GR engine, so the 3.5 liter V6 hybrid, but it's the exact same rear wheel drive hybrid that we see in the LC 500H and the LS 500H with around 354 horsepower. But they're going to get rid of that, and they're going to go to something that I've been working on. I've been working on the spreadsheet for a while. I keep changing it because things change over time when you're speculating, but it's going to be similar to the Lexus 500H powertrain. It's still a front wheel drive base platform, but this 275 horsepower engine, which we are going to see in the new NX, and 317 pound-feet of torque. It's going to be mated to an eCVT like any other front wheel drive Toyota based hybrid. And of course, it's going to be all wheel drive only. I'm not quite sure on how they're going to electrify it, but they're going to do it. So this front motor of this 500H should be somewhat similar to what we see in the Highlander and Sienna, and the upcoming NX. Has this 180 horsepower and 199 pound-feet of torque, if I remember correctly. So that will be powering the front wheels here on the 500H, and it could give us at minimum 330 horsepower and 360 pound-feet of torque. Time will tell, but that's what I'm expecting to power the upcoming Crown. It's what I expect to power the upcoming Lexus TX 500H, and it's what I expect to power the upcoming RX 500H as well. Of course, there'll be the RX 450H Plus, which is going to be the exact same as the RAV4 Hybrid and the Lexus NX 450H Plus. But would you guys be interested in a Crown with that sort of powertrain? And since the Avalon is canceled, what about them importing this to the United States? That would be a pipe dream. The fact that the whole Lexus lineup exists and we have the ES, I think the ES and the Crown could be more similar than ever. We don't know exactly when this new Crown will come out, but I'm expecting the Crown and the ES to be pretty much identical with this next generation coming out. So we got the mildest of refreshes for the ES for 2022. So for 2025 model year, hopefully it's 2024, but probably 2025 model year, we'll be getting an ES/Crown with the 2.4 liter turbo, and it could have the direct 4 rear-wheel drive sort of electrification. I could talk about this all day. I need to keep moving. Lastly, Volvo Recharge models get more power and electric range. I test drove and reviewed XC90 T8 Recharge. It was a lot of fun. I really like the vehicle. It's just a little too small for my family, but there's a lot of things I really enjoyed about it. They're making it even better. They're giving it an extra 7 kilowatt hours or so. So that's going to go from the 20 miles of range that I was getting to probably 30 miles of range. But it doesn't stop there, because your electric motor is getting beefed up substantially with the T8 models. So we're going from 87 horsepower with the electric motor that's only on the rear axle to 145 horsepower, and that is going to boost horsepower to a combined 455 horsepower, 65 horsepower more than we have now on the Volvo XC90 T8. That would be amazing. And they're still improving the 2-liter twin-charge engine. They're saying it's been engineered for more efficiency as well, and higher engine power at low revs and at startup. So I thought Volvo would be done modifying and tweaking their 2-liter twin charge engine, or any engine for that matter, as they're going full electric by 2030. It's not nearly as aggressive as a plan as, let's say, Genesis's fully electric plan to 2025. So I think Volvo still improving their engines means that their engines are still going to be around for a while. So that's good to see. And also you'll be able to have single pedal driving with these larger electric rear axle motors. So that's pretty cool as well. I can't wait to drive these revamped and recharged versions of the 2022 models. So I'll end it there, guys. What do you think about all the EV stuff? I'm sure you guys already typed away in the comments. If you made it this far in the video, haven't smashed the like button, I would really appreciate that. Subscribe for more Japanese Korean auto news with a dash of Volvo, just because I think they're fun. And I'll end it there. Thank you so much for watching. Beardless Kirk signing out. Peace out.